These two are inseparable, so it feels right to do a video about them both. Marvel characters Cloak and Dagger, their true names being Tyrone Johnson and Tandy Bowen. Cloak, alongside Dagger, aka Tandy Bowen, they both were in different parts of their life. Like, Tandy was actually wealthy, Tyrone was not wealthy, and weirdly enough, he was actually thinking about robbing her. Isn't that funny how he was about to rob her and ended up saving her? Instead, it just so happened somebody was thinking about robbing her first. They actually did it, and that's when Tyrone impulsively tackled the thief and returned Tandy's purse. You see, isn't that weird? They ended up becoming friends. Tandy ended up accepting an offer to a shelter from some strange men. Tyrone went with her, but they were shady. They were forcibly delivered to a criminal chemist who was developing a new synthetic heroin for Magia, testing it on runaway teens with fatal results. But no surprise to you guys, Johnson and Bowen, aka Cloak and Dagger, I'm talking about in this video, somehow survived injections of this drug. They fled. That's when Tyrone found himself engulfed in darkness, seized by a strange hunger, which eased in the presence of Tandy. That's why they gotta be near each other. She's the one that helps him out. He was darkness, she was glowing bright light. They ended up using their powers for good, stopping crimes, and that's when they dug themselves Cloak and Dagger and declared war on drug crime. Let's just say they were built different and their body reacted in a way that helped them to become characters that we love, Cloak and Dagger. Like, Marvel pretty much breaks it down for us easily when it comes to Cloak. Cloak's body is basically, thanks to this experimentation, it's a portal to the Dark Force dimension. Cloak is linked to a pocket realm of that dimension dominated by the Predator, which compels Cloak to absorb the life forces of other beings, but Dagger's light can temporarily satisfy this craving. Cloak can channel Dark Force to create a field of darkness in his general vicinity, usually using his cloak as a focal point to manipulate, though it can spread well beyond the confines of his cloak. People enveloped by Cloak's darkness feel numb, cold, crippling fear, sometimes seeing disturbing visions. Overlong exposure to the darkness can drive people insane. Yeah, it's like he can put you in a genjutsu or a nightmare or some crap if you go inside his cloak. Yeah, it just gets scary. That's why people go insane. Yeah, this definitely reminds me of some genjutsu type stuff from Naruto. Like, they can literally be battlefield removed in here just to suffer, to go mad. Like, dang, man, this is messed up, Cloak. Dagger's light renders her largely immune to Cloak's darkness. Let's just say he's a walking hex, because unprotected victims trapped in Cloak's dark realm are gradually drained of their life force and presumably die unless Cloak releases them. Thanks to him being connected to this dark force, there's a chance he could be even immortal. He does not eat food or sleep, but just needs to feed on actual light or living beings as life force and such. You know, that's why Dagger's needed, so he just don't be murking innocent people. He can absorb actual or any kind of light, but they have to be specifically life force type of stuff for it to actually feed them, or you'll just be wasting your time blasting them with light. Literally knock the lights out here, for example. Literally states he doesn't eat, but I guess he can eat for fun, though. Light and warmth, there's implications he eats. And people argue if he's one of the best teleporters in Marvel. Cloak can teleport by entering the Dark Force dimension, moving a short distance within it, and emerging back on Earth a great distance from his point of origin. He can also do this with other people and objects. I'm talking about he can teleport a lot of people at the same time. I'm not playing when I say a lot of people he can teleport in his cloak at once. I mean, who needs flight when you can teleport? But yeah, he technically can fly too. Due to him being literal darkness, he's usually intangible. He has to get solid via act of will. Like, do me a favor and you try to touch the darkness in your room. Trust me, you're not going to actually be able to physically touch darkness in your room. Like, it's intangible. Like, darkness is intangible. That's basically what it's like trying to hit Cloak. Literally stated verbatim to be composed of actual darkness. When people slice Shadow, they feel this freezing sensation, aka he is Shadow. I mean, he can literally stretch to like engulf a train. He can summon like a whole bunch of darkness to take beings out. When it comes to poisonous gas, it's literally confirmed due to his nature, it cannot hurt him. We've actually seen occasions of him literally looking straight up smoky or devilish via shapeshifting into darkness. Straight up stated that he is one with the darkness. When he moves, he even leaves a trail of darkness in his wake. I mean, if you technically shoot Cloak, I guess he could technically either eat it because of his intangible darkness abilities, or you could just shoot it in his cloak and it won't even reach him. This image describes it best. Like, you see how he opens up his cloak and you just see straight up darkness. It's like a literal void universe in here. Like, if you shoot him in this, you're not going to hurt him. That's why he can just stand there and get shot Bullets disappear in his darkness. He even tells her, don't worry about me. The bullets just go into his darkness. There's implications he actually gets physically stronger when he's in his cloak mode. And when we're talking about basically his other half, Dagger, when it comes to her powers and abilities and her background, you can even see them get different outfits throughout the times, even their powers being reversed via their adventures. You know, they got to swap powers at one point because of adventures, right? The thing about her is that Dagger generates an excess of psionic energy possessed by all living things, which she can release as light, usually in the form of 6-inch long light knives. Fired from her fingers, these normally transfer some of the victim's life energy to Dagger and can stun, paralyze, or slay depending on their strength. Same way Darkseid from DC Comics can curve his Omega beams, Dagger can treat her daggers like this, her daggers of light, and they curve to follow the opponent. She can literally make her own light shields that can block physical stuff. So she does have a form of physical protection against bullets and such. She can do her own version of the solar flare technique from Dragon Ball to blind people with light, right? Though harder to create, she can generate knives that project rather than steal light, cleansing harmful substances such as narcotics and providing redemptive visions. While these do not heal injuries, they can boost a recipient's natural healing process, even reviving the near dead. Like, if you literally have a drug addiction, she will cleanse your cells of that addiction. It's even reiterated here about that. And she will purge enough of the excess radiation from your cellular systems that you will no longer be sick and dying. Yeah, so if she existed, she would be able to help a lot of people that swear they can't stop their addiction. Yeah, she could get rid of that addiction for you. She kind of helped this guy heal up by putting life force in this being to heal him up. At first, her powers didn't affect unliving things, but there's been times where her knives have affected or short-circuited electronics. And just like Cloak, her internal light increases her natural agility and swiftness to near superhuman levels. Combined with her natural athleticism, dance, and gymnastic skills background, this makes her a good hand-to-hand combatant, even able to dodge gunfire. Dagger, if she soaks in a whole bunch of light, she got like her little mode, Nova Overload mode. Usually on this page, I go over a few things: strength, how much they can lift, how hard they can punch. But when it comes to Cloak and Dagger, they're a little unique because they're not really those type of characters. They're more on the Hexy side. Like, their draining or Hexy draining abilities can give beings that can punch harder issues, even if they're not necessarily on the same weight class when it comes to muscle and punching power, blah, blah, blah. Their Hex kind of makes up for whatever physicals they might lack. But don't sleep on them physically either. They can physically hurt you in ways too, considering Cloak is literally made out of darkness, and his cloak can act like an extension of himself, tendrils to physically hurt you. They even compare his tendrils to steel coils, so he can physically hurt you with his literal cloak. Not to mention, we've literally seen him physically do his cloaks like this to doors to break them down. So it's really hard to pinpoint how strong his actual cloak is physically, because he doesn't really necessarily have to use this in order to get the jump on his opponent. But I would definitely say he should bare minimally be at least be able to hit through brick walls or something. This right here implies that he's definitely got to be strong enough to break down brick walls physically, because this could partly be because of hacks, because of the way his dimension works, the Dark Force dimension works. Not only can he mute Spider-Man's spider sense, yeah, it's stated more than once. Yeah, Cloak is one of those rare beings that can kind of numb his spider sense, muting his spider sense. But he can temporarily hold Spider-Man like this. This could be because, you know, usually when somebody's in the cloak, they get drained of their strength and stuff. So this could be partly because of the reason why he's able to restrain Spider-Man, not because of brute physicals. Spider-Man's one of the few people that can actually punch his way out of this, though. I would say he have to be quite a bit above superhuman or even super soldier. His cloak has to be super soldier-ish, one could say, to be able to hold Spider-Man like this, even temporarily or something, considering how strong Spider-Man is. Someone that can lift tanks, but I want to make note that somebody like Spider-Man can actually hammer their way out of this cloak, though. I just want to make that be known. So with enough strength, you can't actually bust out of this. But usually anybody weaker tier than this, they usually get trapped and just get stuck. This is what happens when you actually put them against powerhouses with infinity gauntlets and stuff, trying to drag them into the dark dimension. It doesn't go well. So yeah, there's limits to who he can trap in this dimension. You know, Cloak has his limits. There's even moments where Dr. Doom gets swallowed into this dimension and has trouble getting out. So Cloak is an issue via hacks. Even though the heavier hitters like Thanos and Doom can get out, though. But like I said, does he really need physical strength when his cloak can literally drain your life force out of you until you die? Like, why do you even need physical strength if you can just drain somebody's life force like this? Like, it reminds me of how Goku was able to hit hard enough to mess up androids like Android 19, but then Android 19 drained him, getting a massive power boost and changing the tide. Like, Cloak is a hexy type of character where you can legit be stronger than him in every aspect and he can still get a win on you because everybody needs life force. I mean, he drains your life force. Even if you're millions of times stronger than him, if he drains your life force, what are you going to do? You see what I mean? Sure, the stronger you are, probably the harder it is for them to drain your life force, but still, that's something you got to put in consideration. Spider-Man talks about how cold he is, and even Cloak talks about how he will suck you dry. So you see, it's not even really a matter of strength when it comes to Cloak. But then if you can make theories, I mean, this is a pure theory. You can theorize on how strong he can physically hit by how big he can make himself. You could argue that maybe. I mean, he's consistently changing his size to where he's bigger than cars, can eat cars, redirect the car, spit out the car in another direction, or use the thing's momentum against itself to sling it somewhere else by getting big and stretching wider. You could argue he could physically hit this hard. We've seen him swallow literal trains into the Dark Force dimension via hacks. We've even seen this guy get so wide and big, he fits an entire airplane in his cloak, guys. But it's really up to you. How hard do you think his cloak can hit since his cloak tendrils were compared to steel coils? You know what I mean? Spider-Man even says himself inside of his cloak, his dark dimension, his Dark Force dimension, you could literally lose a city block inside of here. Like multiple buildings can fit inside a cloak. You see what I mean? The thing he's linked to. What do you think? Do you think he could actually eat, or his darkness can actually eat a whole city block? Hey, just have Cloak eat a nuke or something, and have the nuke go off in his Dark Force dimension and everybody will be safe. I mean, if you want to be technical, in the more recent comics, he was one of the many Dark Force wielders or users to kind of block out the sun with a whole bunch of darkness, right? So it's kind of hard to measure where this will rank him, but like, yeah, he was one of the many Dark Force users that become portals to the Dark Force dimension to make all this darkness. Dark Force covering the atmosphere. So it's like a team effort to do this, but yeah, he was one of them. When it comes to Tandy, aka Dagger, you could say she's also a walking hex, somebody that doesn't rely on brute power, like the way her light draining stuff works. Normal people she can instantly knock out with her daggers of light, and they even explain how she unalives somebody with her daggers of light. Passing through the victim's clothing and flesh, they melt into his bloodstream, causing a biophysical shock reaction against which there can be no defense. We even see her do this to Silvermane, slashes through Silvermane's armor, organs and all, and takes him out. But the fact that she can make Spider-Man dizzy like this with her hits shows that they can affect beings in this tier at least. I mean, we've actually seen her get actually struck by a super soldier tier, like Daredevil, for example. So, like, they're not that fragile. You know what I mean? And when it comes to the power of her light shards and stuff, they can actually go through physical armor and do major damage. You could say this is like a form of blast power. You remember when Spider-Man had this Spider Armor Mark IV, like this very powerful armor, more armor than usual. She's able to do some serious damage to him like this. There's even some moments to where you could argue she could be a powerhouse with the powerhouses when it comes to her light projection or blast power, considering they can penetrate Dr. Doom's personal force field. You know Dr. Doom is a legit powerhouse in Marvel. That's not even up for debate. Considering Dr. Doom has a million examples of fighting with the heaviest hitters physically. I'm talking about Dr. Doom literally locking arms with some of the strongest beings in the universe like Hulk. So you know he's a powerhouse legitly. And his punches can do this to a freaking Hulk. That's why moments like this, you could argue they could be powerhouse tier beings with their energy projection, penetrating his personal force field like this. It's kind of crazy. I mean, I mentioned this a lot on my Marvel videos, so I don't want to sound like a broken record, but yeah, she's decently agile, has some decent fighting speed too. Like I mentioned earlier, her powers do kind of enhance her physicals. Like we see her legit straight up jump over a thug. So yeah, you're not going to shoot her with bullets. Like it's just not happening. She just dodges it. With pinpoint accuracy, she says she was able to hurl her daggers fast enough, intercept the bullets after they were shot. That's fighting speed. She's so quick that she evaded Spider-Man and Spider-Man didn't even know she moved. Like, yeah, that's ridiculously fast considering one of Spider-Man's arch nemesis is Electro, who can shoot out actual lightning. Yeah, and Spider-Man's constantly avoiding this kind of stuff with his combat speed. Spider-Man's constantly avoiding people in combat that got the speed of light on their side, and yet they have issues tagging Spider-Man and dodging Lightmaster. Yet Spider-Man didn't know she moved. That's how fast she is. When it comes to pure reflexes, obviously she can't run this fast, but I'm saying this is nothing really new in Marvel when it comes to reflexes. Her being able to dodge stuff that's near light speed type stuff. This seems accurate. When Spider-Man can't see you move, guys, your reflexes are fast. Yeah. Oh, Tyrone has amazing reflexes too. Usually doesn't need to dodge because he's hard to hit. He has elemental intangibility being literal darkness, but and just like Dagger, we've seen Cloak actually sidestep somebody with spider speed, Spider-Man himself. So yeah, Cloak isn't slow either. Beings like Silver Samurai that have decent combat speed themselves, he uses his teleportation in combat situations to teleport away before he can get struck. Remember this being that Cloak is reacting to as somebody that can cut bullets in half, block multiple bullets because of his fighting speed. This the same being that Spider-Man considers fast. Yep, that's why Cloak reacting to this being is impressive. Wolverine-esque type of beings. He can react, save beings before they get a chance to stab certain beings. Daken, he even says, where did he go? He has a few opponents where he would have to die. It's like Dr. Doom's no joke, so if he can avoid attacks from Dr. Doom, it kind of gives you an idea that he can't be slow either. Considering Dr. Doom has literal attacks or blast attacks that can blast at literally the speed of light. Yeah, Dr. Doom's a powerhouse and is ridiculous. So yeah, this makes sense. And yeah, Tyrone can dodge his attacks, so he's not slow either. So saying he has near light speed or even faster than light speed reflexes wouldn't be that much of a stretch, honestly, based on comparing him to the other Marvel characters he has to react to in combat speed reflexes, teleporting against people's slashes in time. You know what I mean? Well, it depends on how you consider teleportation. Like on his power grid, they max out his speed because they quote unquote say he's a teleporter. So, I mean, I guess that's like a form of cheat code kind of speed. You could say he has a form of instantaneous movement. You guys know in fiction, not all teleportation is completely instantaneous or infinite. But let's just say, I don't know, let's say his teleportation takes 1 second from him to arrive at point A to point B via teleportation. Let's just assume, even though this is not exact math to teleportation, let's assume this is how fast it takes for teleportation. That's fair. 1 second is pretty long. We got occasions of him traveling from the United States to this part of Japan in literally no time via teleportation. You know Marvel's universe version of the United States or the world is very similar to ours when it comes to distance between these different spots. If we assume he traveled from the United States to this part of Japan in 1 second, via teleportation, which is not really speed, but work with me here, that would be bare minimally 23,000 times faster than the speed of sound. 17 million miles per hour. I kind of see why the power grid made his speed ridiculously fast by labeling him a teleporter. Teleportation can kind of be seen as speed in some regards. But I can also see why some wouldn't want to count it as speed because it's kind of like taking a shortcut between space and time. Or you could say taking a shortcut through space to get to a certain destination faster. Like, that's why some people don't want to label it as speed. But yeah, you can pretty much get anywhere you need to if you're a teleporter like Cloak. There's multiple occasions of him traveling to different parts of the world or across the world in a dang near instant via teleportation. Narrated how they go to vast distances. Like, he teleported from the negative zone to like the actual main universe, the main 616 universe, and he pulled like 100 people with him. So he can teleport a lot of beings far distance. I'm talking about an incalculable type distance. Like the negative zone is its own separate parallel dimension, or you could say universe separated from the main 616, and he teleported people. You could almost say his teleportation distance is limitless. His teleportation has to be seen as speed because he can use it in the blink of an eye. They even compared it to Nightcrawler and how he teleported across the room. Cloak and Dagger don't have the most feats, but they're still dangerous in their own right. They're more of walking hacks and tricky type characters rather than being juggernaut powerhouse types, if that makes sense. There was a point where Dagger was temporarily an anti-venom symbiote for a second. We are Dagger. Ain't that crazy? I guess right here you can confirm she's given symbiote type strength, but that's none of my business. I know this video is a lot different than what you're used to, but yeah, these characters are unique. I think that's why this video is cool. But what do you guys think? What did you learn new? Turn on notifications, like, share, comment, subscribe. Thanks for the donations, y'all. And I will see you guys. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.